I need to be 100% serious whenever I say this. No clickbait, no sensational title. I mean every single word I'm about to say. Car debt is absolutely out of control and it is about to become a major problem. Consumers are literally drowning in car debt, and not only is this a problem with automotive debt, but they are also drowning in just general consumer debt like high mortgages, credit card debt, student loans, and it is a terrible, terrible situation. So let's talk about it. But before we dive into that, Black Friday season is officially here, and the Car Sharing Masterclass yearly Black Friday sale is officially live as of you watching this video. And this Black Friday season is a little bit special because it is our first Black Friday sale for our new Car Sharing Masterclass 3.0. From November 17th until December 1st, 2025, you can get $308 off the Car Sharing Masterclass by using the code BLACKFRIDAY308. This is the biggest sale that we will ever run, and once it's over, it won't be back until next year, so you will not want to miss this. I've been a Turo host for over 8 years, and I have taken my knowledge and experience and condensed it into 10 hours of course content in the Car Sharing Masterclass 3.0, which will teach you everything that you need to know about car sharing. Everything from LLCs, how to work with insurance, what kind of cars you should buy, where you buy these cars, automated systems for your fleet, what to do if your car is in an accident. Brand new sections on direct rentals, which includes things like the backend software, contractual templates, do's and don'ts, and even access to our trusted and reliable co-hosting network so that if you're someone who's interested in growing via co-hosting, you can tap into our network in order to grow your fleet. We have hundreds of successful students, and I would love for you to be our next success story. Click the link down in the description below to learn more. And with our 30-day, no questions asked money-back guarantee, paired with this Black Friday deal, this is your chance to steal the deal today. According to a new report released by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, just this month, debt grew by $137 billion during the third quarter of 2025 and totaled $13.07 trillion at the end of September, essentially creating a new all-time high quarter after quarter. And while auto loan debt, at least as of late, has not been increasing at a rapid rate, at least compared to other debt segments, you can see here that credit cards and student loans are seeing quite the increase. And while short term, it does look as though car debt isn't increasing at the same rate as debt like credit cards, it doesn't mean that it isn't alarming either. Because according to a study published by CNBC this week, U.S. consumers owe a record $1.66 trillion in auto loan debt, according to Consumer Federation of America, making it the largest category of consumer debt after mortgages. On top of this, nearly 1 in 5, or 19.3% of borrowers, have monthly car payments of at least $1,000, which is quadruple the number that we saw in 2019. And if you're anything like me and you read this statistic and you think to yourself, how the heck do people afford this? Well, they don't. Because according to a different report, more than 2.2 million vehicles have already been repossessed this year, a number expected to climb past 3 million by the end of 2025, which is in line with the Great Recession. And the problem with vehicles is truly a multifaceted problem. Because the problem is, of course, with the cars themselves, with new cars seeing an average price of $50,000 for the first time ever. And while this is with new cars specifically, you better believe that that high price tag is trickling down into the used car market, causing cars across the board to go up in price. But it's of course also an issue with interest rates, which despite the fact that these have gone down, they still currently sit at between 5.27% for a new car with a super prime borrower, all the way up to 21.58% for a used car with a deep subprime borrower. This creates a cycle that for many Americans, even if you were to theoretically buy a car for a decent deal, you are going to be underwater on that car fairly quickly because of the fact that you are paying so much in interest. This is especially true for those subprime borrowers who typically buy cars for overinflated prices with extremely high interest rates, and it creates a disastrous situation. But believe it or not, the cost of cars and the interest rates for car loans aren't the only problems, because maintenance and repairs are also becoming an increasingly large issue. Vehicle repairs have increased on average by 11 to 12%, and this cost is becoming too much for many car owners to bear, which can either cause people to buy newer cars that they can't afford because they're perceived as being more reliable, and this can ultimately lead to repossessions that we just spoke about, or the fact that people have these cars that have repairs that they can't afford. This in turn leads to them just not fixing the vehicle and opting to instead stopping their payments and getting it repossessed. For example, I know somebody who did this exact same thing. They had a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee that had a major repair that was needed that was going to cost thousands of dollars, and they just weren't able to afford it. So what did they do? Well, they actually went out and they bought another car, probably with an insanely high interest rate because I know these people don't have a good credit score, and then they just simply parked their Jeep Grand Cherokee outside of their house and waited for it to be repossessed. But because they bought this new car first before the other one got repossessed, this is an absolutely terrible decision, and it's a great way to create a cycle of getting into a car that you can't afford or ruining your credit in the process. But this is absolutely something that people throughout the country are doing. And again, it creates this cycle of repossessions because the likelihood of these people getting this new car repossessed is probably incredibly high as well. And the car debt situation would be a problem regardless of how all of these other debt segments were faring. But the fact that you have car debt out of control, you have credit cards out of control, and you have student loans out of control, it is a disastrous situation. This graph here shows number of accounts of debt. So one account equates to one, even if that account was to have $1 million in debt. And while mortgages, auto loans, and home equity line of credit or HELOCs are sort of all flat, you can see that credit cards are going crazy, seeing steady increases since the Great Recession, but those increases have become more rapid as of late. And I find the trend of credit cards to be so indicative of how the overall economy is doing and how people are feeling about their financial situation, because credit cards are generally something that are very, very easy to get. They are relatively quick. And so if somebody finds themselves in a short-term cash flow situation where they just don't have enough money to last them through the end of the month, they will oftentimes lean into credit cards in order to fill the gap. If we see credit card accounts and also credit card debt increase, this is a direct correlation of people just not having enough money. And you can see that this culmination of debt is leading to more delinquencies. 90-day delinquency rates are climbing in all categories, but specifically in credit cards, and 30-day debt delinquencies are concerning. But I want to go back to the topic of cars specifically because obviously that is what this channel is about. And I want to kind of bring us back to the crypto craze and crypto bubble post-pandemic. I remember during this period of time, whenever everybody was getting into things like NFTs and crypto, and it felt as though there was like an inflection point there. I heard from someone, I can't recall who said that whenever your grandmother starts talking about a trend, you know that that trend has become a bubble. Or alternatively, people that wouldn't have otherwise talked about that specific topic. And that's currently how I feel about with the car market. When everyone on the road is driving extremely expensive vehicles, you know that there is a major problem. And I truly think about this every single day. For example, I pick my nieces up from daycare pretty frequently, and my sister is an elementary school teacher, and she's able to take her two kids and put them into a daycare specifically designed for teachers' children. And so of all of the kids that are at this daycare, at least one parent has to be a teacher, and it's a safe assumption that in the state of Texas, those teachers are underpaid. And so I pick up my nieces from their teacher daycare, and I frequently see incredibly nice cars in the parking lot, and I always think to myself, how the heck are these teachers paying for these cars? And while sure, there always could be somewhat of an explanation, either the spouse has a high-paying job, maybe family members help out, but this no doubt does not apply to everyone. And teachers aside, because of course I don't want to pick on them, but I notice this on the road every single day I drive. $100,000 cars is such a normal occurrence in the town that I live in. In fact, just this weekend, I was eating brunch with my husband and I asked him why we see Lamborghini Uruses all the time. I see them so frequently that I would think that they would cost about $75,000 if I didn't know better. But no, the cheapest Urus within 100 miles of Dallas is still $175,000. It is absolutely insane. And I know that I've been saying this for an incredibly long time, for years now, so this really isn't anything new, but I do think that given the fact that we have everything going on that we do, between interest rates, the job market, consumer sentiment, our political climate, I do think that things are going to come to a head sooner than later. And I do think that what we're seeing with the car market, car debt, and the cost of cars is in some ways a bubble. And while I don't necessarily think or know if we will go back to the car prices pre-pandemic, something absolutely has to change with the car market because things cannot continue the way that they have been. And so it really isn't a matter of if something pops, it's just a matter of when. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.